start off with item 1, which is apologies for absence. I've had apologies of Chris Holly. Anybody else at all, Bridge?
No other apologies, Chair.
Okay. Any disclosures of personal and prejudicial interest? Oh. No. Okay, thank you. And prohibition of whip votes and declaration of party whips? None at all. Okay. Right. So item 4 is the minutes of the last meeting. So I'm just going to go through those for accuracy. So on page 1, page 2, on page 3, page 4, page 5, and page 6. Are we content those minutes are accurate? I'm going to take silence as assent. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so public question time. We have no questions received from members of the public. So we move on to the main item of business. Now, item 6 is the follow-up scrutiny from the working group on bus services. We are deferring that to a future meeting due to illness affecting officer attendance, which will have significantly impact on the ability to have a full discussion on the topic. So we're going to reschedule that for a meeting at the earliest opportunity. So if everyone's content with that, I'm going to move on to item 7, which is the Governance and Audit Committee scrutiny relationship. And can I welcome Paula O'Connor, who's the chair of the Governance and Audit Committee. Paula, this is now a regular item where I go to Governance and Audit and Paula comes here, and basically to sort of strengthen the relationship between the two committees, making sure there's close workings. There is a short report providing some background to the item. I'm going to invite Paula if she wants to say a few words to introduce that. Paula, thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I'm pleased to attend the meeting as also. I think it's a very important matter that we work in harmony and we avoid duplication or overlap in any way. So I feel quite passionate, so I'm really happy to attend these meetings as often as you want me to attend, really. As members will know, the legislation changed back in 2011, whereby the Local Government Wales Measures Act changed the membership of the Governance and Audit Committee and also change a number of its responsibilities to include reviewing the self-assessment report, to bring in a review of the Council's performance assessment, and also the area of complaints. All 3 new areas that were brought in. And I've met previously and had discussions with you, Peter, as chair of this committee, Councillor Chris Holly, and more recently I've been speaking or dealing with members who've been involved in the scrutiny panel for climate change and the scrutiny performance panel, because I picked up some reports that had gone there that had been to Governance and Audit Committee that I asked to be deferred because I thought it was appropriate that they should receive it first to apply that due scrutiny, and we could take assurance from those committees that the processes and systems were working effectively. So I'm endeavouring to make sure nothing is sort of going to cause any friction across those committees. And obviously we've got cross-representation of some of those scrutiny areas with Councillor Paxton Hood-Williams, Councillor Mike White and Councillor Sam Pritchard. Councillor Terry Hennigan was also a member, but he's been taken off the Governance and Audit Committee recently. But we've got other elected members that are right in that cross-link, and often we make reference to those committees. And the more recent things that we've picked up is an Ombudsman report on complaints, which they're asking for the Governance and Audit Committee to comment on the effectiveness of the Council in managing the complaints. So I've spoken to Councillor Andrea Lewis, who actually presented that to the Scrutiny Performance Committee, and asked Sarah Lackenby to bring that report back into the Governance and Audit Committee so we can comment and fulfil what the Ombudsman had asked the Council of us to do. And the other one was on the net zero for carbon. Again, we deferred that report because it was going to the Scrutiny Panel for Climate Change and Nature, which it's been, and we've asked for assurance to come back because there were some specific Audit Wales recommendations around linking the costing element of it to the medium-term financial plan. And funny enough, I've been emailing individual officers today just to bottom that out so it can come back to the Governance and Audit Committee in that fashion. So from my perspective, you know, we are endeavouring to make this work, recognising the specific role scrutiny have to play opposed to the role of assurance that the Governance and Audit Committee provide. So I'm happy to take any questions. I think that the papers speak for themselves. So thank you, Bridge, for putting those together. The annual report for the Governance and Audit Committee went to the full council in October of last year, and I presented at that meeting, and I give assurance at that point also that I would endeavour to make sure that this will work without any problems and crossover with the scrutiny roles.
Lovely. Thank you, Paul. That's very helpful. Very clear. Chris Holly isn't here because I know Chris chairs the Performance and Finance Scrutiny Panel. I know in the past he's been concerned about the performance reports, which come every quarter to his committee, also go to audit. I know that's all been sorted out, but for the benefit of new members in particular, could you explain how the different approaches between how governance and audit would approach that particular report as opposed to how scrutiny would approach it?
The role of the scrutiny, and Councillor Chris Holly has been involved in, is looking at that performance report and offering due challenge to officers around the completeness and the accuracy of information that was contained in that report, and was it in line with the elected members' views on how the council were performing. What we were looking for when it came, I think the actual terms of reference says, it talks about to review that performance assessment report, and just to look at that, accepting it had been through the scrutiny process, to see was there anything else that we were cited of at the Governance and Audit Committee that maybe had not been picked up through that robust scrutiny process, through that scrutiny performance panel. Councillor Chris Holly did attend the Governance and Audit Committee, and there were a number of questions that were raised and put to Councillor Chris Holly, which he answered. There were a couple of changes that Councillor Chris Holly agreed needed to be amended, and those amendments were made prior to it going to full council, and I think it's due to go to full council if it's not already been. So that was the difference. So there was a scrutiny and challenge over the contents, the accuracy, whereas we were just looking at what assurance we could get from that process to make us satisfied and assured that the performance management arrangements were working effectively.
Effectively, you're looking at the management of risk and how it's actually in the various reports and part of that. Whereas we're basically questioning officers: are you doing the right thing in this sort of thing? Yeah. Okay. Lovely. Anybody got any questions online, or there's loads of questions in the pre-meeting? Come on. No. Okay. I mean, I made a note of the questions you gave me in the pre-meeting, so I'm going to have to ask him, aren't I? That's okay. So the new requirements on the council to conduct an annual performance self-assessment and once per term performance peer review. What is the role of the governance and audit in that process as part of that?
It's in a similar fashion, really. We would expect the scrutiny and the challenge to come from the scrutiny process itself, and then for the output to come to the audit committee with the chair of that group or panel to give assurance that what they'd done was rigorous, it was challenging, and the output from that, as far as the scrutiny was concerned, was satisfactory. So the Governance and Audit Committee would look at it with a bird's eye view. Is that in line with what we feel is the situation and what we've seen coming through the Governance and Audit Committee? And we would just accept that assurance from that chair.
Lovely, thank you. Anybody else got any comments or questions they want to ask Paula at all? No, someone's got their microphone on anyway. If you can mute yourself if you're not going to ask a question, that'd be very helpful. Thank you. No? Okay, right. Well, Paula, thank you very much for coming to the meeting. And it's been very helpful, because I think it's important that not just the members of this committee, but anybody who happens to see understands the differences and the way the different approaches of the scrutiny and the audit process.
If I can just add then, before I finish on this subject, I'm fortunate enough to attend an All Wales training session, which is SIPFA supported through the Joint Audit Committee for South Wales Police, and the learning I get from that training session has been very valuable in bringing, the knowledge into the Swansea City Council in the way that those complaints and performance areas and the balance between scrutiny and governance and audit is best managed and best run. So, I'm pretty firm and clear in my mind on how best we can get the most effective outcomes from the work that the Governance and Audit Committee do, and the work that all the scrutiny panels in their various groups and guises are.
That sounds like a training session we might want to run for councillors in general, I think, in terms of understanding and being more effective at scrutiny. That'd be worth looking at, I think. I'm sure Bridge will make a note of that.
Yeah, it's very good. It's well worth, it's an all-day session. It's quite, tasking time, but it's very beneficial, I think.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Paula. Thank you for coming along and presenting that report. Thank you very much. Okay, item 8 is the Scrutiny Performance Panel Progress Report, and today's spotlight on Child and Family Services. I'm delighted that Councillor Paxton Hood-Williams is here. Paxton, do you want to introduce this report?
Well, thank you, Chairman. I'm not going to say a lot now. What you have in front of you, or had in front of you with your agenda, is basically a very comprehensive report on what we've been doing over the last 6 months or so since I was here last, I think. So there's very little I can add to that. However, if any of the members have any queries, then I will do my best to respond to those, Chairman.
They're all being very shy today, actually.
That's good. I don't complain. That doesn't disappoint me at all. Let's put it that way.
I think that the biggest pressure facing both adult services and child and family services is staffing, isn't it? And particularly in terms of care and availability of social workers. Has that come through at all in your scrutiny session?
Yes, it has, and I think it's probably referred to in the report as well. Yeah. But basically, not so much at the last meeting, but certainly a couple of meetings ago, we were quite concerned about not just the level of absenteeism, which is there, or the vacancies, but more importantly, there were quite a large number of agency workers employed. And when we ran into trouble back in about 2009, one of the main things that we picked up at that time was that we were employing an awful lot of agency people. I have to say, at the last meeting, we had a performance report which showed that number had now dropped dramatically. It was really under control again. Yeah. So we were very, I suppose, pleased to see those figures dropping in that respect. But it's something that we will keep an eye on, and it's something that we will always look at in that sense to make sure that we are not going back to a situation where we are really employing a lot of agency people.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that the department is recovered mostly from COVID now, or do you think there's still after effects of that in terms of the performance and what they're able to deliver?
If we talk inside the family services and we look at the performance reports that we're getting now, they are coming back to where they were, I think.
Right, good.
And they're getting to be more comprehensive again with the new system in place, which is WICS, the Welsh.
WICCS.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. I'm glad you said it because I couldn't remember that. Certainly the reports that are coming out of that now are far more comprehensive, and they are giving us now reasonable trends as well, so we can look at those and see those significant, to see what is changing significantly, either for the good or the worse, and if it's for the worse, then we can answer questions appropriately.
Good. That's reassuring. Has anybody else got anything you want to raise on this particular agenda item? No, they really are shy today. Okay, we're going to move on then to item 9, which is the membership of scrutiny panels and working groups. There's no changes at the moment to that particular item. And so item 10 is the scrutiny work programme. You will note that we have a special meeting next Monday. There's going to be a pre-meeting at 3:30 p.m. here. It's a hybrid meeting, of course, but based here, and then the meeting itself will actually happen at 4 o'clock. I didn't see the point in having a pre-meeting the Friday before we can do that. And we're looking at the new 20 mile per hour default speed limit. It's a pre-decision scrutiny. Cabinet will be looking at that a week Thursday. The meeting perhaps to have an extra meetings because Cabinet is a week later. So please have a look at the reports. The agenda has been circulated to you and raise issues. I'm suspecting that people may have particular issues in their own wards and stuff. We've all had emails telling us which roads are going to be 30 and which are going to be 20. And then on the 18th of April, we have the next full meeting of this committee, the crime and disorder scrutiny session. So we'll have the Safer Swansea partnership with the police leads and the council leads in front of us. So we'll be asking a fair number of questions on that, and I'm anticipating that members will have a lot of questions about crime and disorder they'll want to raise with those particular witnesses. So anybody got anything you want to mention on this item? No? Okay, in that case I'm going to move on to item 11, which is the scrutiny letters, which are there for information. And the date and time of the upcoming scrutiny panel meetings. Sorry. Everyone can hear me, can they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It's just Terry, is it? Okay. 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 Maybe Terry Hannigan sounds like he's got some technical problems. But hopefully they'll be resolved by next Monday. Okay, thank you. And so I'm just saying that we're just winding up now with the item 12, which is information, and then the next meeting. So I hopefully will see you all next week on Monday at 3:30 for the pre-meeting and 4 o'clock for the actual meeting itself. So thank you very much for attending. Apologies, this is a shorter meeting than you anticipated. I'm sure you have plenty to do though, but thank you very much for attending. Thank you. I declare the meeting closed.